Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Café, and today I have with me Xavier Roman. And let me just tell you a little bit about his gifts and his skill set. He can heal people facing any physical, emotional, or mental health concerns, both with in-person and distant healing. And so this is really the time where people are waking up to skills that might be dormant. Some of us where the skills were suppressed. But in your case, I'd really like you to share your story, how your skills became so prominent, and why your calling right now is to reach as many people in the world to help them. So to you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. First of all, I appreciate it. So it all started off when I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old, and I was, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 blocks from my house, which is something I would never do today. I wouldn't let my son go that far at 5 years old. Just saying. But I was at that time right across the street from the park that I normally go to, and when I was close to the park, I was right across the kitty corner, and I seen a mom and a child. They were crying. So they were crying that the child was hugging the mom by her waist, and he was crying. You could hear it, and she was too. And as a 5-year-old, that's a little bit worrisome, a little bit scary too. Like, wow, we're in public. Like any adult crying, I would think you get scared as a 5-year-old, including get scared, get worried, like, oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? Is there something else around here that's going on that why they're crying? And so immediately I was like, man, I want to help them. I want to help them. Like, I don't know what came over me, but maybe that's a natural thing for a child to want to, help people, especially as an adult and a kid, from crying. And so I immediately said, okay, I'm going to try to help them. I don't know why I did it, but I closed my eyes and I looked straight at them. I don't know if they were looking at me, maybe the mom was, but I put my head down, and then I felt this white light come all through my body. And I felt very light, and I felt like extremely good. I don't know if I was at that time, I would describe it like, wow, am I in heaven? Like it happened so quick. So I felt like this big ball of white light, and then I wanted it to go straight at them. And so I kept on, wanting for them to feel better, wanting for them to feel better. And I seen that white light go towards them. And then I stopped and I opened my eyes and I looked at them. And within about a couple of seconds, the mom stopped crying. The kid let go of the mom. And they were both looking in opposite directions, like, what's going on? Because they stopped crying so fast. I mean, I still heard them while my eyes were closed, but then I heard it stop, and then I opened my eyes. But again, they're looking around like, and then I'm looking at them like they had to look at like, hey, what happened? Like it was like, what happened? And then I'm like, I mean, I can still feel it like to this day. Like, wow, did I do that? Like, oh my God, what if I did that? What if I did that? I says, no. I says, yeah, I think I did it. No, I don't know. And then I was like, wait, hold on. I could be a superhero. I says, what if I'm a superhero? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I was glad to. And, but at the same time, I didn't know what was going on. So then I just walked straight home from there, and then I had all these thoughts going through my head, and I'm looking at my hands, and I'm like, hey, when's the flying come? Like, am I gonna start flying now? Like, where's the rest of these powers at? And then I was like, oh my God, what if I could start running faster? I mean, all these thoughts were coming in my head, like if I did that, then like
What else?
I should be able to do something else. I have to, you know, I've been watching these cartoons, these superheroes all this time, and what about me, you know? And so, you know, I was thinking also, who should I tell? Who should I tell? Who should I tell? Like, nope, no, nope. No. Thinking about all, you know, family members, I was like, nope, there's no way I can't tell them. Nope, nope, they'll think I'm crazy. They'll think I'm crazy. Or like, no, they're not gonna believe me. You know, this and that. They're not gonna believe me. Whatever. No, I'm not gonna tell my friends because no, they'll really like think I'm crazy. And then I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll try this out again another time. And so the next time I tried it, I went to a doctor's office with my mom, and we had went into the doctor's office, and I knew like, okay, this just happened the other day ago. I'm gonna try this in here. Let me look for some scanning someone, like let me see who looks sick, not just there for an appointment, but I was looking for somebody who's like hurling, you know, head down, like holding something that was hurt or something like that. I was looking for that indicator. And then I did see somebody, again, I could see it like as if it's to this day, and I could look at them right now. And someone was holding their stomach, and they were down like you know, they wanted to get in there so bad in the doctor's office. And so I said, okay, let me try this. And then I did the same thing, and then I felt the same thing, and I felt real warm, and it felt good. And I put my intention towards them, and then I opened my eyes, and then the person just they did the same thing. They're like, you know, they're like, you know, they're looking around like,
What are they doing there?
yeah, like as if like, wait. And then they're touching themselves, like, you know, in their stomach area, like, wait, you know, like, hey, where this thing's gone? Like, what's going on? You know, of course, they didn't know it was me, that I was doing that, or trying to do that. Um, and then so then they're just sitting back, and then they stand up, they go doing one of these, you know, like, you know, seeing like, hey, where's that thing? You know, like it's been here for so long, almost one of those types of deals. And then after a while, they get up, they go to the front. Oh, hey, you know, I gotta go. You know, can I just make an appointment for another time? You know, yeah, you know, I got an appointment and going. Like, I was like, that worked. I heard what he said. You know, I heard what he said because I was really listening to what he was gonna say. I was being nosy at the desk, and yeah, he just left. Like, hey, don't you need to see it? I thought you were hurt. Like, oh no, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, like I really got somewhere to go and this and that. He said, no, I can manage, you know, and so forth. And then I was like, I think I did that. I said, I think I did. I got to do it again. I got to do it again. And so, you know, I would do it as appointments went on. You know, I would ask my mom, hey, can I go with you to the doctor? Like, you crazy? You want to go with me to the doctor? Like, you guys don't like going to the doctor. Mind you, there's 5 of us, kids and so forth. And you know, nobody ever likes going to the doctor that I know. and, and yeah, and that was it. And then I kept on doing it, and people kept on reacting like that. And my mom ever had to go to the hospital to go visit somebody, family member, or something like that. I was for sure to be the first one. Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? And then I would try to walk by rooms and stand by rooms and just, you know, do it to people and so forth if they were in hospital beds, and especially the person if we were going to go see them. But since it was enclosed, if we like went to a hospital room, I would just have to pretend like, you know, like I'm holding myself, you know, so they couldn't see me, like concentrate and put my head down and relax. Otherwise, you know, my mom or whoever she went to go see, like, hey, what is he doing? Like, what is he falling asleep in here? So, you know, I'd have to do it like that, like, yeah, one of those kinds of deals. So pretend, play it off, you know, like I wasn't really, you know, concentrated. Um, yeah, so it just kept on happening. It kept on happening. And then I just kept on doing it, and it kept on working and kept on working. So as a little kid, I didn't remember it not working. I don't remember it not working. Um, yeah, even like if there was like chaos around the house or somewhere around there where there was something bad going on, I remember doing that, and then it would bring peace, and then things would stop, and
Mm.
then yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting that at such a young age, not that you had the gift, that I understand, but that you also had the ability to know not to tell the people who would squash it, right? Because most of our culture would go, "Oh, that's just in your head," or, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
saying like this," or, and you knew that you didn't want to hear any of that. You just wanted to be, the master of your own destiny here at a very young age. I think it's interesting. And I think a lot of people who do share end up having this squashed in them, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They do. And on that note, what you just said, I had this, it felt like there was like an internal voice when I said, should I tell? Should I tell people? And I would always get it, no, not
mm,
yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay,
right.
yeah, that makes sense. I don't want to hear it, I really don't want to hear it, and so forth. And in hindsight, man, that was a great idea, because if I would have how society is, especially family members, I'm like, you're crazy. What are you thinking about? They would have squashed it. I would have been like, maybe they're right. Let me stop this and that, and I would have went along with it and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Mhm.
right. Yeah, you were definitely right.
So what then, because in your bio you talk about a near-death experience and that being pivotal. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I believe it's about 30 at the time. Um, I had been feeling bad for my stomach. I've been getting these pains in my stomach. And at the time I was married, and then I had told my wife at the time, like, hey, look, I know I don't call, I'm not a complainer, and, I don't share bad news or any of that stuff. I says, but I got to tell you, there's something going on in my stomach, but it's kind of to the right side of my stomach, but it's like by my stomach. I said, it's bad. I said, I don't know what. I've been trying to do whatever I can, and it doesn't feel like a stomach pain. It feels like something else, like like I'm balled up right now while I'm talking to you. Like, oh my God. And I'm thinking, it could be this, it could be this. Let me try this, let me try this, let me try this. And it was not going away. And then I did think to myself, because I remember I was talking with somebody at the time, uh, the day before, and we had a talk. Hey, what would you eat if you knew it was your last meal and you were gonna die? If you knew you were gonna die, what would you eat? And I was like, oh man, I think you know what I'd eat. I have pizza and some wings. That's it. I said, but I want these types of wings, not the other original wings, but I want these types. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would definitely eat that. And and I had ate that 2 days in a row. And then when I was laying down, I was like, oh my God, oh, this is better. No, this can't be. This is bad, but like, wow, is this something? Like, is something gonna happen? Like,
Uh,
what? Like, no, 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 no. Man, I did eat pizza and wings for the last 2 days straight. Oh my God, like, I was like, no, 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 no. Maybe they'll give me something, and I'll snap right out of it. So we went ahead, went to the hospital, and I had told my wife at the time. I said, hey, listen, we're gonna go to the hospital downtown. Well, no, we should go to the one that's close. There's one that's like 10 minutes away, or there's one that's 15 minutes away. I was like, no, we're gonna go to the real good one downtown, Chicago. I says, because that's probably the best, and I'm not coming back home. Like, what do you mean? I said, I just got this feeling. I said, I'm not coming back home right away. I said, so if I'm gonna stay somewhere, it's not gonna be at those places. It's gonna be there. And I didn't know what it was, but that was just my feeling. She's like, oh, okay, are you sure? Are you sure? I says, yeah, I'll just endure the pain, take the 40-minute ride instead of, the 10, 15-minute ride. I says, I know what I'm doing. Let's just go there. I never been there, or had to go there for myself, but like, I was like, we're going there, you know. And so they're like, oh, okay, you're having this appendix thing and this and that. Like, oh my God, no wonder what that is. Like, okay, but we're gonna have to remove that. You got to start drinking this stuff and blah blah blah, and then we're gonna go ahead and schedule time between today and tonight, and then we'll have to go ahead and do that right away.
So
So then,
appendicitis.
yeah, yeah,
That's what, okay.
yeah, yeah. And so then I was like, wow, no wonder. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Like this ain't going away. You guys got me hooked up to this, and it's lessening the pain, but like that stuff is there. Like, yeah, it's there because of this and that, this and that. I said, okay, cool. So they do the surgery. I come out. A couple of days go by. I'm in the hospital, and I go home, and they give me some meds, and I had like about a week full of meds, maybe. I think it was about 7 days. I had the meds, but like after like about, I want to say it was like about 5 days, I start getting cold and hot, and I'm like, wow, like how am I getting hot and this house is cold? And it says, and then how am I getting cold? And I know it's 101. It's like about 101 degrees on that weekend. And so that week, I was like, oh, something's going on. Something's going on. And then I would take the pill, the antibiotic they gave me, and then it would help for a little while, but then boom, it would just go away. And then we finally called, hey, you need to get him back in here. There's something going on. It might be from the surgery. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's just go. And so we went, and they're like, hey, listen, you have an infection, and this infection, this type, it's traveling up through from your like my stomach area, and it's going up. But if this gets towards your heart, there's nothing we could do. So we have to do a surgery immediately, because you're not taken to the antibiotics that we've had you hooked on. And it looks like that's not going to do it. And we're going to have to go ahead and do that. And I'm like, me and my wife at the time, like, what? I thought I could get like a couple pills and like we'd be out of here, like maybe stay a day or something like that. Like surgery. What? Like if I don't get rid of this, like I'm gonna die, like. And they're looking at me like, no, this is what it is. This is where we're at. Like, I'm sorry to tell you. And I'm like, come on, that was the face I'm looking like, oh my God, this thing turned from this is like, man. I'm like, well, I don't have a choice, that's yeah, of course I'll do it, like, yeah, like, okay, we're gonna do this at this time and so forth. Yeah, that's what you gotta do. I say, okay, cool. And so then I go ahead, get prepped. We'll then go in, and the last thing I can remember them saying, okay, you're going to go to sleep, and they usually count to 3 seconds if you've ever had a surgery or something like that before they put the gas on you or whatever. And I just remember one, boom. I was about to say two, and then I was just gone. But then after a while, uh, I remember I was outside my body, and I had my arms crossed like this, and I'm just looking. I'm just watching them, and I could hear them talking. They're doing the surgery and so forth. And then the surgeon, he had cut from like my belly button down, and then boom, everything, it busted, and then the blood and pus went all over his attire. And luckily he had one of those masks. I guess he knew what was going to happen. One of those plastic masks and so forth. And he had swore. He said, "Oh crap," this and that, and then they continued, and then boom, you hear the machine, the heartbeat stop, and then they started panicking and this and that and scrambling. Okay, we need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. And I'm just watching, and I didn't have no judgment on what was going on. I was just observing everything. It wasn't like a type of thing where you're like, oh, come on, guys, you got to help me. Come on, one of those things. It wasn't nothing like that. I was just watching, just see what everybody does and what they say. And so, boom, then I leave. And then I go to what appeared was the other side. And so then I'm walking through that tunnel, and then I come up, I'm at white light, and then I'm on the other side, and then I'm talking to some people that I know that passed away, and I'm talking to a relative of mine, my grandmother. And then the last thing I remember was her asking me, hey, do you want to stay? And I'm like, there was a part of me that did. I was just like, man, it is real beautiful down here. Like, everything's perfect. Like, this is like, felt like home. I felt like I'm at home. Like, why would I want to leave here, But it took me a while to go ahead and say, no. I says, no, I'm going to go. I got some stuff to do, some stuff that I really want to do. I said, but I'll be back, And she told me, you'll definitely be back. She said, we're all going to be back there.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
And then I just smiled, I give her a hug, and then boom. When I wake up, I'm in the post-operation room, and then I'm starting to like open my eyes a little bit, like, drugged up and so forth, of course. And I'm looking around and then I see the nurse out of my right side, sitting on the right side, and she gets up and she says, oh, Miss Roman, okay, hey, are you okay? You okay? I said, yeah, I guess. And I'm hooked up to what appeared to be like machines and so forth. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna give you some quick instructions, and then I'll repeat them again, just in case you forget because you're just waking up, but just for starters, just don't touch on your stomach. They cut you open right down there, and they left it open, so it didn't get sewed up, so it's just open. So their plan is to let it close from the bottom on up, to make sure all your infection gets out and so forth. And don't touch this. You got a tube on this side and it's draining, and a tube on this side and it's draining. I'm like, what? Like, huh? Who does that? Like, what about needle and thread? Why didn't they sew me up? Like everybody else, right? And like, yeah, you got a big bandage over there, but that's all you got. So just don't touch that. Tell me about the pump, the morphine pump. It's going to trigger off every this many minutes. And if I want it sooner than this much time, I got to push it, in case I start feeling that. She said, but I shouldn't feel nothing. This is real heavy pain meds. And then she says, hey, like, I'm glad you're okay. She says, the way she said it, she says, Doc of them, they almost lost you. They brought you back. And boom, my eyes, I looked at her, they opened so wide. My heartbeat started going up. The machine started. I went over the drugs. That's what it felt like. Like my body, my mind went over whatever drugs, the pain, the morphine that you could give me. It went over. My drowsiness kind of went away. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, what happened? I was like, I seen it all. I said, I seen it all. I started giving her details. I said, he said this, and he was swearing, and he said this, out loud. And then they started they started moving, scrambling real fast. Once the monitor it went flat and so forth, and this and that and this that. She's like, oh my God. She's like, well, if you're tired, you can just relax. She said, but you got to calm down. She said, you really got to relax. You're making everything, go haywire. This that. I said, no, it's me. I said, it's me. I'm doing it. I said, because I'm just like like I said, I was thinking that before you told me that. I was like, it was a dream. Maybe that was a dream. I says, but no, I says, you're right. You are absolutely right. I says, and that's why I just told you those details. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I've been here for like, I don't know. She's like close to 30 years or something like that. And she's like, I've heard of other nurses meeting somebody or dealing with a patient, that's happened to. It's never happened to me, and I'm almost retired, like that. But I mean, you're the first one I've ever seen that. She's like, I gotta ask you some stuff. And I was like, I'm still like, the monitor still, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I says, yeah. I says, I mean, I even had sweat coming down a little bit. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, she's like, just relax, just catch your breath, I said, yeah. And she said, a little more. She gave me some more oxygen. No, that was real. Wow, that was real. Oh my God, that was real. Okay. And then, yeah, just too many emotions. And so I just went ahead and I told her, she gave me some time. She came back and she's just asking me, what was it like? What was this? What was that? How did you feel? What was it like over there? This and that, this and that. So I just told her. And then later on, she's like, hey, do you mind if I come to your room? Because, I still want to talk to you more. If I come to your room, but I won't come as your nurse. I can't do that because you'll have another nurse once you get up there. But I won't be a nurse. I just want to come to visit, just to talk to you. I said, yeah, sure. I said, sure, no problem. She said, I have a lot of questions. And I was like, no problem. I said, just come on down. I'll let my wife know if she asks, if you guys should come in at the same time. But yeah, sure, no problem. And she did come up there later, and yeah, she had a ton of questions, and told her everything that I knew that happened. It was a little bit of time, but on that, it seemed like longer on that side than over here on this side. And, I just shared with her whatever it came to me that I thought that I knew. Yep.
So is that then, I mean, at that point you realized, because I was going to ask you, you went to the hospital, it's like you had a skill. Did you forget that you could heal?
Yeah, I forgot. I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, I was not thinking about that. That didn't come into my head.
Yeah.
Not once.
Wow.
Not once. I was just taken way off from where I was to where I am now. And once she said that, I was like, how did she know? Like, no, I knew how she knew because they had to actually experience and see, and this has happened, this and watch them because of this. They had to say all that stuff, and she knew it. So once she told me that, I was like, wow. I was like, wow. I can't believe it. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, that's quite the story. Anyway, I feel like we don't have a lot of time. I was going to share something about my surgery, kind of similar, where I was aware of all the discussions, like when they were, because I don't hold, the anesthesia doesn't work for me, and they're saying, oh no, we've given her like an adult dose, we can't give her more, and I was like aware of all this, but I think the way you explain the awareness is I can relate to that. I haven't spent a lot of time understanding it, but no, that's I'm gonna have to look in that path a little bit more, what was really going on there, because It's a very powerful experience. So we have about 10 minutes left. And one of the questions I get asked by a lot of people is, how does energy work? Now, you've already described a little bit that, you're feeling this light and you're wanting to help and you're focusing it to another person. And those who have been recently listening to my show are very aware of my partner Tony, who has been in really terrible pain, and it seems to be getting worse and worse, not better. And with my background, I've tried everything under the sun. I've had very wonderful people with great success trying to help him as well. And so I asked you right before the show, would you mind demonstrating and let's put it out there, healing,
Yeah.
allowing
Yeah.
his body to do the healing, but do whatever the magic is. Because his pain it's like it used to be 4 to 6 for like 3 out of 10 for pain, for 3-4 hours, and then it would go into intense jabs of 8 to 12. And what's been happening almost steadily for 2 weeks, I think the last 2 days has been a little bit better, but it's been 8 to 12 almost the whole time. And it's been just, we have a lot of humor, we share a lot of love, but to have someone you love suffering like this, and not knowing what next, or not having a clear, I listen to the universe, and it's like, and then when you came on the show and I read your bio again, I went, oh, maybe, so if you're okay, then let's
Yeah, sure, definitely.
I'm just going to just bring him into the picture then. 1 second.
Okay. Hey there. All right. Okay, so what are your symptoms that you're feeling?
So basically, it's all down the side of my head and my ear. It's a neuralgia pain, but it feels like people are like sticking needles in, or sometimes it feels like it's on fire. That's the more gentle version. But no, it's really pretty damn painful. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know how,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not sure how else to explain it.
Yeah,
But
do you want to add the entities?
you can mention
Yeah,
that.
no, some people, have said that they're seeing clear entities that are really interfering with his ability to heal. And that is kind of a new world for me. I feel like I see them as well in people, but I don't know. I don't know where it fits. I'm too close, I think, to know what to do with him.
Okay, that's definitely good to know, though. That's definitely good to know. Now, how long has this been going on?
About a year and a half.
Okay, year and a half. That's when it triggered off. Year and a half. That's when it first triggered.
It started, I had shingles, and that went away pretty quickly. Manon healed that with homeopathy. But then directly after that, I started getting pains, like all the rash disappeared. And yeah, that's really when I noticed it, I suppose.
And the context of the time period was it was a time where, we were with family, and it was like New Year's Eve or that kind of time. And we do a lot of family things, but it was like we're not allowed to speak about certain things, like, this bioweapon and things like that. We can't speak about it, and it's taboo talk. And I think there was a lot of weight emotionally
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
that he couldn't speak.
Yeah, not to be able to speak out really, and how I felt and the information I had, and also to be very much labelled as a conspiracy theorist.
Mm, mm. Well, I will say, from the first time I seen you, you're definitely not a conspiracy theorist, and I thought the same thing you did too. When you not this time, but originally before, when your face first popped up, that's the first thing I got too.
That I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, pain level, where are you at right now, from 1 to 10?
Like 7 or 8, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, 7 or 8. Okay, and you said it's right here on your right side.
It's right down here, and my ear included as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is how I do it. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos on the social media or the website, but so what I do is I'm going to close my eyes and I'll tell you when I'm going to go ahead and begin. If you want to close your eyes and relax, you could too. You don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to. You could close your eyes too, breathe in through your mouth and out your nose. And if you're really having trouble relaxing, if you're or concentrating on nothing, then you could count in 3 seconds and out 3 seconds, or in 4 seconds and out 4 seconds once we begin. Now you're able to go ahead and speak to me while my eyes are closed, and I will talk to you back if you had questions or if you felt something or so forth. We could do that. We could exchange during the process. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I just, when I'm done, then I'm done. Then I just open my eyes and I say, okay, I'm done. And then you'll let me know how you feel from there.
Sure, sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. All right. So you let me know when you're ready. I'll go ahead and get ready. Ready? Okay, here we go. Okay. You're gonna be. Okay. How do you feel?
Yeah, I definitely feel quite a bit calmer. Yeah, certainly. And yeah, one thing that occurred to me is, we spoke about, like, when it began, it's not so much about being called like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. At school, I got bullied quite a lot. I used to have my ears used to stick out, called Jumbo and Big Ears. It's not about name calling; it's about being misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's quite a big thing that I've never really, kind of acknowledged. I don't like to be misrepresented, by
Definitely.
way more than a name. Yeah, you can, because name calling just bounces off me. If I don't relate to it, I don't relate to it, who cares? But it's that inherently misunderstanding is sort of occurred to me, yeah. And no, I'm sure that's certainly a part of the healing, got no doubt.
Yeah. Where's your pain level at now?
I'd say it's gone down to about a 4, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Let me try one more thing, okay? Let me try one more thing. One more thing.
Oh,
Okay. How do you feel now?
yeah. Funny enough, I feel about the same, like 4, but I feel yeah, there's a level underneath the pain that's always there, you know, that I've kind of haven't totally, you know, and I'm not kind of into making some kind of psychological or spiritual, but there's a level under the pain that I feel like I could rest in a little bit more, you know, regardless of the pain, you know.
Oh, good.
Like I said, I'm not trying to make some.
No, no, I hear you.
No, I'm talking to myself as well because I'm a bit judgmental like that. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
you
that's good. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. We all do every day.
know, but I'm not. But and I think I could feel that regardless of whether it's 4, 5, 6 or whatever. So
Mm.
no, it's good.
Okay, good.
And I loved your stories as well, by the way. Or
Oh,
you
cool, cool, cool.
it's really good. It made me smile, and I can associate with it in some ways. Well,
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. They just every time I say them, they just feels like I'm reliving them right at the moment because I could see everything like in 3D, like it's just happening right now. There's an old TV show that used to come on where the person, I don't know if I think it used to be called Cold Case. So where they would do crime reenactments, and then the person in their mind, they used to be able to go back, when they're like little kids and or back in a time like in the 1800s or something like that. They could relive it, but it'd be like real and stuff like that. That's how it feels like to me.
yeah, no, that's what it felt like. It was like you were,
Mm.
yeah, it was a real. I'm from Ireland originally. There's a lot of storytellers in Ireland. They
Okay.
they
Oh,
found,
cool.
you know, but I just felt, yeah, you know, just a genuine. Hey, you're just telling it how it is, and you were reliving it. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with us and
My
and
pleasure.
people on the gifts you have and the latent gifts that might be in more of us that we're not yet fully aware or allowing. So I found it really inspirational, and thank you, and we'll follow up.
Okay, thank you as well, and I appreciate it, and thank you for allowing me to help you. Thank you.
So where can people reach you?
You can reach me on my website, which is my name, XavierRoman.com. That's XavierRoman.com. And then on the website, you'll see some quick videos, people here and there in hospitals, at home, and so forth. And then below it, you'll see all the social media. So just click on there, and then you could, see way more videos on there. And then, yeah, you can reach me right there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So thoughts about the conversation with Xavier, I think is how you pronounce it. Is that it's again about healing. What does it take to heal? There's the healer and all of their capacities, their energies, their experience, and then there's the client or the patient. And it's really about seeing how does that merge? What will work, what is needed? Yeah, and is this the right route? So these are all questions. Now it looked like there was an impact on the spot. And then what's the prognosis? Can it be that after a good sleep, like he mentioned, that things could get better? In Bowen, we always say 5 days, give the body 5 days. And sleep is really important because that's also the reestablishment of the autonomic nervous system rebalancing, which does impact because a lot of pain produces stress. And during a good night's sleep, there's a rebalancing, which allows more healing to take place. So I think that's important. And 5 days is just something I've noticed that it sort of settles, and then one can do more if it's required. So I'm looking at in energetic therapies, what are the parameters? Yeah, who's it for? How does it work? These are all my questions, and open questions. I definitely have lots of questions, obviously, about, the systems we take for granted that work, because I have not seen so much, so I'm not as impressed. But it's, certainly when we look at traditional medicines like Chinese medicine, acupuncture, Ayurvedic medicine, homeopathy, all of those. I mean, there's lots of research that shows its effectiveness. Energy medicine, quantum medicine, that's definitely on the rise now. And I think as a society, we're becoming more sensitive and more able to attune ourselves to this type of frequency. So it'll be interesting to see what is healing in that context. Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.